Shut up and sit down.
Our brain is not wired to pay attention to more than one complex task at a time. What we're actually doing when we think we're multitasking is quickly shifting our focus from one activity to another. So while our mind is engaged in applying makeup, arguing with backseat drivers, fumbling for a water bottle, or a conversation, it's blind to the road. In fact, drivers are 4 times more likely to crash while talking on the phone, and 23 times more likely while texting.
Guess what we're gonna do today? We're gonna get a new bicycle! Yeah! Let's go!
I can ride my bike with no handlebars, no handlebars, no handlebars.
And now, your rather average dialed podcast hosts, Matt Lee Grand, Evan Price, Lance Hepler, and Jake Von During. Can someone get me some coffee now? I need some caffeine. Pronto. Thank you.
Hi, and welcome back to the Dial Podcast. I am Jake Von During, and I'm here with Matt LeGrand.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen of the internet? How are you guys this lovely afternoon?
Good. Lance Hepler.
Take a chance with Lance Romance.
It keeps getting better. I don't
Another
know.
one's
No,
possible.
I think it's getting worse. Is what's happening.
Could be.
And we've got another special guest with us today, a repeat, Mr. Justin Wagner. Welcome back, Justin.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Happy to be here.
Awesome. All right, we have another great podcast for you. Let's kick off our Backpedal, and let's see here. Matt, why don't you go ahead and start us off today? Because we're going to start with you, because you don't have too much. But
No, I before the show, I was like, hey, weekly Backpedal. I literally can't even remember what I've done this week. I mean, I've swam a fair amount. I've gone out for a couple bike rides, but nothing unbelievable. Nothing that I can report on. So I can be quick. I give my time to Lance because I know
I wrote down 10 things I want to talk about. It's a problem.
It's a bit of a problem.
Please, let's hear about you a little bit, Matt, please.
Okay. My wife was out of town, so I had 3 kids this weekend, since Thursday, and then I also had a new puppy. So it put a bit of a damper in the training. So we picked up a new puppy on Saturday. And the only thing I've been able to do was get on the trainer. We also had a whole bunch of people come into town as well. One of which is one of my buddies that I've been biking with for years. So we actually set up the trainers in the TV room and just actually got a couple little trainer rides in, which was pretty cool. But not a lot of really cool epic rides that Lance will tell us all about. I'm sure. So.
I think your brother actually commented on one of my rides on Strava.
My brother?
Your brother.
Wow, that's weird.
This week, yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it was my little connection. Yeah.
So there was some Legrand.
There was a Legrand, yeah, and I think.
What did he say? I wonder what he said.
I can't remember which ride it was. I'll have to look it up.
Which epic ride was it? Yeah, so if it's my older brother.
Is it David?
Yeah,
yes,
David.
It was David.
So that's cool because we've talked about him on the podcast before. We were talking about taking the reflectors off your bikes and stuff like that. So he's gotten into biking and stuff like that, and I'm sure he'll come out and visit, and we'll totally take him for a ride.
Yeah.
Because, there's so many cool things to show. He's from, Birmingham, Alabama, and there's some good biking and stuff there, but, it's nothing like biking here. So, yeah.
Anyway.
nice.
Yeah.
Hey, Justin, tell us what's up, man. How you been?
I have been great. Actually, this week, you won't be happy to hear this, Jake, but I have returned to Earl. Now, you're like, what is Earl? Well, that's how you pronounce the acronym for in real life, meaning I'm biking outside again.
Oh, yeah.
Attaboy. I am relishing the day that is something that I can say as well.
So,
how was that?
Coupled with a new bike, it was everything I'd hoped and dreamed for the last few months. So,
dare I say, to quote Lance Hepler, it was glorious?
It was glorious.
I channeled my inner Lance, and I've taken some bike photos while out on my rides. So.
Excellent.
Seriously, that's awesome.
Yeah, you'll have to send some of those over to me so we can put them up on the podcast site. People seeing that kind of stuff.
So I sent you earlier the one just I took today over with the overlooking there's a lake in the background, some nice hills. Yeah. Feel free to share that one out.
Will do.
So it was I actually built the bike completely myself, and it has yet to fall apart. So my first bike build ever. So
Yeah.
I definitely bugged Jake on several items. So now where does this thing go?
Those are the pedals.
I was happy to help. Happy to help you, my friend.
The wheels go on either side. Justin, I think I hear some of your kiddos. How many?
Yeah. Hey guys.
That's
You're going to be recorded, so
You're in.
keep it down or head upstairs, okay?
They are in the podcast.
They're playing behind the couch behind me, and they're loving it.
And so you have how many kids do you have?
I have 4 kids.
4 kids.
8, 6, 4, and 2,
Okay.
and we are pregnant with a 5th one due mid-September.
Wow.
So my kids are similar ages. Just I only have 3. But my oldest is 8 as well. So
Okay.
So when
Nice.
you're in town, it's party on.
Okay, sounds good. Yes.
Yep.
Hey, Justin,
go
give us an update on your shoulder, man. You've returned to riding outside. That is awesome. But how's it doing?
It's still like riding. I don't feel any pain at all. Definitely when I go do physical therapy, there's I can feel stiffness if I'm moving it in ways that aren't normal. I'm still doing strengthening exercises. So I just say, in general, it feels a bit more stiff. I hope it's not that way the rest of my life, but I don't know whether or not that's going to be true. But
just remind the folks one more time exactly what it was that was repaired.
Yeah, so I when I crashed back on the 5th of May, I dislocated to the front side, so my humerus dislocated to the front, and it basically broke off part of my scapula. Oh. And so they had to basically bolt that scapula, basically the socket on the scapula, put that back in. So that's called I think they call that a Bankart fracture or a Bankart leisure. So they had to repair that. And so that's the technical term they use for that specific kind of break. So yeah, and that was so I haven't ridden outside since the 5th of May. So what's that?
Wow.
Is that like 3 months?
That's
a long time.
That's a good chunk of time. Was there any soft tissue damage, anything to the labrum or the rotator cuff or biceps or anything like that?
No. I did have a elbow fracture. My radial head did fracture as well, and so we had to wait 4 weeks for that fracture to heal before they could even do the surgery on the shoulder. So that's why it kind of pushed it out an extra month. So
ouch.
Yeah. I definitely didn't like when I got that phone call. I was like, oh no.
Now you guys just had a big event that you finished putting on, and we talked about that last time you were on there. Tell us about it. How'd the Liberty Road Race go down?
Absolutely. Yeah. I feel like it was a great success. Numbers wise of racers, I had way more than I was expecting, which is a good thing.
Oh, nice.
Now what was my expectation based off of? I could say conservative financial planning and just like a complete stab in the dark. So there's that, but it was great. So I'd say overall we had close to 150 racers. So that's Seattle and Portland, I'm sure, see way more racers than that. But for being on this side of the state, we had quite a few people from Seattle come over because it was the state championship race. So I was pretty happy with the turnout.
Good job.
And we only had one minor accident in one of the women's fields. So no major injuries to anyone. I think there was some handlebars and some bike damage that came of it, but nobody getting carted off in ambulances, thank heavens.
That's good to hear.
So one of the interesting parts of that is I logistically, to get enough drivers for my caravans, I decided to split the race into 2 halves of the day. So I did like the beginning categories in the morning, and then I did the more advanced categories in the afternoon with a little bit of break in between. So I could basically get all of my teammates who would race in the morning to volunteer as drivers in the afternoon. That also meant that the Pro 1-2 and Cat 3 races were in 90 to 95 degree heats, and they were 90 miles long, and there was no tree cover. It was out in the blues. So it became pretty obvious that we needed to do something about neutral water because a lot of people coming from Seattle, not able to bring family or friends to hand them water. So long story short, I begged and pleaded for as many volunteers as possible in the feed zone, and I bought like 1,100 bottles of water from Winco.
Oh my gosh.
Brought it down.
Wow.
So, I mean, So yeah, I was like, if anybody has any issues with dehydration, you cannot point the finger at me. I mean, just look at those bottles of water. The matter of getting the water to the right places, but I think it turned out well. And, maybe I don't know if that kind of heat's always typical for that week in July. Obviously it's the dead heat of summer, but definitely some feedback like maybe let's do it earlier in the year, or maybe let's do all the races in the morning. But something to consider.
Food for thought for the future, for sure.
Exactly.
Good.
So
good. Anything else going on this past week for you?
Well, let's see. About 4 weeks ago, I found out that my office in Spokane was going to be closing, and that my termination would be employed. I said that backwards. My employment would be terminated. Wow, can't think straight. So as of today's my first day being unemployed, but I've been on the job search for a while, and I did like a little tour, did job hunting, interviewing, and I flew to Salt Lake for a couple days, and I flew out to Rapid City, Iowa, then flew back to Spokane, and all that's hopefully going to be materializing in 3 job offers in Salt Lake City. So
wow.
There's no writing on paperwork, but there's writing on the wall that we will be relocating to Salt Lake for employment. So that's kind of big news.
Yeah.
So
how are you liking the riding there?
I mean, obviously Salt Lake's got amazing routes.
There's great riding in Salt Lake.
Yeah. It's fantastic there.
There's no hills.
Been
It's
there
all
on
flat,
and off.
right?
It's all flat.
It's all flat.
Yeah, just all flat between about 5,000 feet and 9,000 feet.
Yeah.
Just flat.
5 and 12.
Yeah. We've got a few guys on our team that used to live in Salt Lake, and they've always talked about how good the riding was there. So that's going to be awesome for you, my friend. You're going to go down there and rule the roost.
So
that's good to hear.
So yeah, that's let's see. That's about wraps up the week. I mean, it was crazy. It's hectic, and it's still going on. Working on getting our house on the market and all that good stuff, but crazy.
Yeah.
So,
well, wish you all the best with that, man. I really do hope that all pans out for you and everything happens for a reason, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Stuff. Good. Hey, Lance.
Yes.
You're sitting over here. You're wearing your champion's medal from short track. You got your team long sleeve shirt on, looking very dapper and svelte.
I thought you're supposed to wear your medals all week, right?
Yeah.
Is that week? I think it's month.
Are you not supposed to take your medal off if you win a medal?
Even if you shower and stuff like that, you have to shower with it on.
All medals all the time.
Yeah.
When I graduated from high school, all the medals you get from like high school track, I totally walked across the stage with like 30 medals around my neck because I was like, I think like
so
valedictorian one, just wore them all. Like, yeah, baby, all my participation medals from track.
There will be a picture of this after the podcast, guaranteed.
And Lance showed up coming through the door with a trophy in hand, which is a very nice trophy.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about what that trophy is and why it's so funny looking.
Did we post a picture last time?
Not yet. This is from the short track race this past week.
Gotcha.
So, Lance, how was your week, bud?
It was perfect.
Was it glorious?
Oh, it was glorious.
It was glorious.
I will say, I went, it was the final short track race of the year, and after having a week to kind of think about it, I'm going to say that so far, this is like the pinnacle of my cycling career. It was
pretty awesome.
It has been, it was a magical night for me. The race was so much fun. Having the whole team there was so much fun. It was great weather. It was a great atmosphere. The short track series was just, it literally was one of the best nights of the summer for me. I have very little to complain about. It was a lot of fun.
That was, I was just there as a spectator, and they were taking pictures and cheering you guys on, and I had a blast. I didn't think I could have that much fun at a race without racing a bicycle, but it was really a lot of fun watching you guys, especially your heat too, with all of you guys just motoring and like pace lining at the front, like just ruling that race. And then Lance came away with another victory.
Yeah,
he is
fun.
Looking awfully strong on the bike right now. I love seeing that.
I just, it was one of those nights where I had to place better than 12th to win the whole race series, and I don't know. I got around everybody and ended up pulling away from them, and I don't know. I'm feeling really good right now.
Absolutely.
So I was using it. So it was fun to win the short track race, and then win the series, the 8-race series, which was great. And next year will be different because I'll be in a tougher category and I'll be against stiffer competition, and you never know what your fitness is going to be like. And so and my daughter was there to watch me, which is also motivating for me. So that was just a lot of fun. And then we had the team relay event, and the
Why don't you tell everybody exactly what the team relay is for starters and why they have it too?
So once all the race heats finish, they need about an hour to compile the series results to do the series podiums. And so during that hour, they do a team relay event where you have, I think it's 9 people on a team.
10.
Is it 10 people?
It's 10, yeah.
All right. So there's 10 people on a team. Every person does a 1 lap of the motocross track. So it's only like 2 or 3 minutes. So it's kind of a short little fast lap. And there's a Le Mans start. There were 26 teams that fielded 10-person teams.
Wow.
So there was 260.
A lot of traffic.
Yeah. Wow. So there's always a lot of traffic. There's always a couple of fast teams. Nobody really takes it seriously. It's all for fun.
Right.
There's no points for it. It's just
Bragging rights, yeah. And it's fun and bragging rights if you're fast,
It's just to have a good time out there. And our team, Dialed Cycling, fielded 2 teams. We kind of had a stacked team, and we had another team. Not that they were slow. It was just another team. Because the 10-person teams, you have to field at least 3 juniors or 3 women.
Or a combination thereof.
Or a combination, yeah. So you can't just stack all your fastest guys on there. But, so the race goes off. We had a bunch of really fast guys on our team. And after a lap or 2, it turned out that us and Breadwinner Cycles were kind of pulling away from everybody else. And Breadwinner Cycles had 6 elite racers on their team. So they had fast guys on their team. But they had 4 juniors and 6 elite racers, and they had all their elite racers go first.
Okay.
And so
there was some time to.
So we both of us kind of pulled away, and we were battling with Breadwinner, and we ended up.
I don't think we ever fell really that far behind him ever. I mean, we were always right there with him, and then I think it was after the second or third rider, I was the guy standing there like counting off time at
yes, that's right,
at benchmark spots, and I'm like, we've got 10 seconds, we've got 15 seconds, and then like there was a lap that went out. I'm like, holy cow, we've got like a minute, and just it kept growing and growing and growing.
Yeah.
And then I think when Lance went out, was it you or somebody else that went out against one of their juniors, like put like 2 minutes into him?
Yeah.
So we ended up, when it was all said and done, lapping them.
We lapped them.
Second place, yeah.
We lapped everybody in the whole field.
Awesome.
It's crazy.
The funnest part was Breadwinner Cycles has a guy named Josh Kelly on their team who is one of the best cyclocross racers in the state.
Yeah.
He is really fast. And he just happened to be going against one of our juniors.
Yep.
Jacob Hamness.
Yep.
How old is Jacob?
14,
13?
I think? Yeah, 13, 14.
So we're looking across the way, and I see that Josh Kelly's about to go, and I'm standing there with Jacob, and I'm like, oh, Jacob's about to race against Josh Kelly. And I'm like, Jacob, I probably did not help the situation. I'm like, Jacob, do you see the guy you're racing over there? That's Josh Kelly. He's one of the fastest guys in the state. You've got about a 30-second lead. You got to try to keep it as much as possible.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, I'll try really hard. Yeah. And he went out there. He didn't get past till the very end.
Yeah. I think he actually had closer to like a minute lead, and Josh ended up like coming in maybe 10 seconds behind him. So he put some time in him, but he did awesome holding his own out there. He rode clean, rode strong, and he did exactly what he had to do, was keep us in the lead. It was awesome.
So
fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
So it was just a big party. You know, it was all this fun, and our team won, and they gave us a trophy that it's a little homemade trophy, but it sits on on a single speed gear that actually rotates.
Yeah, it's got like a free body hub on it.
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
It looks like an old basketball.
It's the old basketball player.
Somebody put some pants on him, and he's got a rubber chicken on him, and so every year somebody adds to the trophy.
Yeah, you
Is that
add
how-
to the trophy.
Oh,
Yeah.
So you're thinking about that, or what's...
Yeah, because we have to give the trophy back for next year, so we get to keep the trophy for a year.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll post that up as well.
Gosh, I wish we could get a little bicycle underneath them somehow.
Well, I've got a ton of parts. We'll have to dig through there and
Dig
find
through and do
some other
something
things to
to
add to
it.
it and add a funny thing to it as well.
So it was really cool to have a team trophy and a team plaque, and I don't know. Short track was just fantastic this year. I just absolutely loved it.
Yeah, you had a lot of fun.
I had so much fun.
That's
at it.
awesome.
And so I can't keep up with you anymore because you're always everywhere. And I love Strava. I just haven't been on there much, and I'll talk a little bit why I haven't been on there recently. But it's just kind of, it's not depressing, but
Yeah.
I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't know. When you see everybody out there having fun in the summer, it just kind of.
I understand.
Bumps you out
Yes.
just a
Completely.
touch. So
Kind of want to stay off it if you can't be involved with it. I
exactly.
get it.
So I mean, I still try and pop in there once in a while and tell everybody, "Hey, good job and kudos and all that stuff." But I wanted to know where Lance has been this past week, so I popped on and I pulled up his profile. You rode almost 400 miles last week, you
Did you really?
jackhole.
Did you? Yeah, you got to
It's
crack
like-
that magical
it
400
was like-
sometime.
What was it, like
so
20 some odd
close.
hours or something like that?
It was 26 hours.
Oh my gosh!
That is
Yeah.
amazing.
Almost.
I don't think I slept as much as you biked.
I can for sure tell you I didn't.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so, short track was over. I'm not saving myself for anything. My next big event is 3 weeks away, so I wanted to put in a big week.
Yeah.
So,
and you did.
And I did. And I got invited on a couple rides that were just
I'm clicking through and
fantastic.
looking at all these pictures going, you've got to be joking me.
Oh, my goodness.
But the thing with Lance is it's every week.
I
It's
know.
awesome.
I'm always like, I'm going to post this picture. It's going to be great. And then, like, literally, as I'm posting it and I look at Instagram, I'm like, yeah, that's a pretty nice photo. I'm like, I scroll, just a touch, and there's something from Lance, and I'm like, dad gummit, that guy. You'll just have, like, I think it was like, bike on dirt road with Mount Hood in the background, whatever photo that was. And I was
yeah.
like, that's better than the one I posted.
One of the rides I did, I was invited by Andy Levine, who is a teammate of ours, and he was doing what's called the Tour de Hood, which is kind of a route that he has developed. And basically, Mount Hood is the major mountain right here next to Portland, Oregon, and there's 3 ski resorts on Mount Hood. And we rode all up to the lifts on every ski resort. So we we circumnavigated all the way around Mount Hood and rode up to every ski resort. So it ended up being 102 miles and
Wow.
like 11,000 feet of climbing. So it was a big day.
Big day.
And there was a 5-mile gravel, a section of
Yeah.
gravel that we had to ride as well. But the gravel was actually pretty smooth. So
Okay. So just road bikes.
Yeah, we were just on our road bikes on 25 mil tires. So, and that was just a great day. And then we get done with the ride, and Andy is like, "I'm going to Central Oregon for the night, and I'm going to ride again tomorrow. Why don't you come with me?"
Can you tell me who Andy is? Because I don't know if I know him.
Andy Levine, he was on the Audi team last
gotcha.
year or the year
Okay.
before. He rode STP with Seattle to Portland.
Yeah, you probably
with
met him
us.
at STP
Probably.
with Greg Steele. And
Actually,
Andy
Justin
Levine.
Yep.
Justin would have ridden with
We
him
were
that day.
we were ready to
Yeah.
hammer that thing.
Yeah.
Until my.
No. This was,
was the
2
year
years
before,
ago.
yeah.
The last time you and I rode
But I
together.
think I was scheduled to. Yeah, I was planning. Must have been 2 years with him. It didn't work out last year
Yeah.
for like the same reason.
Yeah.
Different
So-
side of the body.
Yeah, and so he's been he races off and on.
Right, yeah.
He's a busy guy with kids and teenagers and a business that he runs, and
Wiggled out a little bit of time to.
Yeah, so
How many hours was that ride? The 102 miler.
it was 7.5 hours almost.
That's making pretty good time for that much
yeah,
climbing.
with
that much
11,000 feet of
yeah.
climbing, it wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, that was just a great day. Then we went to Central Oregon, and then we stayed the night, and then rode Mackenzie Pass outside of Sisters, Oregon, which is near Bend, and that was just fantastic. That was the ride that your brother actually
Commented on.
I found it. This is what David Legrand said.
Okay.
He said, That ride looked glorious.
Okay, so he must have tuned into the podcast. That's
I'm
good.
enjoying your podcast with my
Nice.
little brother and
Nice.
actually listening to your tips now.
Okay.
I may even shave my legs and feel obligated to send you pics if I do so.
Oh my gosh, that'd be
So-
hilarious. Yeah.
Thanks for the comment, David.
Well, so David, Lance is significantly faster at biking than I am, and he doesn't shave his legs. So,
Better hope it keeps that way.
So
Might get a
that
little
was
faster on
fun.
you, huh?
I don't know.
And then on Saturday we did a team ride with Michael Myers and Dustin Schocken.
Yeah.
Okay.
Joined us. Who's not on our team, but he's a local Vancouver guy that is
does a
very
lot of rides with
fast.
us,
Does
yeah.
a lot of rides with us. And oh my goodness, that was a
Hard.
It was a hard and fast and difficult ride, and ended up being like 85 miles or something that I did with him, with the team. So, and we climbed out by Larch Mountain, by Larch Correctional Facility,
Oh, yeah.
the one in Washington, not one in, and there's a big gravel section there, which is not smooth. And Dustin actually pinch flatted on
Did
that.
you do the Larch to Livingston connection little piece up there?
Is that 2 mile
Not quite.
section? That's there's
It's like
there's
2.5 miles or something
Yeah.
like that. I don't remember. But
Yeah.
there's a big long gravel section. But we get back from that on Saturday, and I'm pretty beat. And I'm home with my wife, and my wife goes, "Hey, I'm going to go out for a ride." And I'm like, "Can I come with you?" She goes, "You just rode like 4 hours." And I'm like, "I know, but let me come with you. I'll ride the gravel bike, and we'll go." And so I was able. I got out on the road with my wife, which
That's
was great.
awesome.
So we rode like 20 miles, and we did the 2 bridge loop.
Two bridge
and
loop? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was nice.
So for other listeners that aren't from the area, 2 bridge loops, in the Portland area on the Washington side, there's 2 different ways to cross over, the I-5 and the 205, and you can just bike over both of them. And from Lance's house, it's about 20 miles.
Yeah.
From my house, it's 30, 35, something
About
like
35,
that.
yeah. And that's crossing over the Columbia River that connects,
Columbia River.
or basically separates Oregon from Washington.
Yes.
And Brandy was doing great. She's all nervous about keeping up with me, and I'm just kind of taking it easy. And the best part about that ride, I got permission to tell this story. We're coming back, and I said, "Hey, we're gonna go up this little hill called Blandford on the way up, and it's kind of it's like a, what is it, a half-mile climb or a
Yeah, but it's a
3/4?
beautiful little stretch of road. It's
nice-
like
nice
canopy.
It's a nice, they'll stretch. I'm like, we're going to go up that way because it's a much nicer ride back to our house. And she says, okay. So I'm like, take your time. Don't push it too hard. I'm going to take the dirt trail because I was on my gravel bike. I'm going to take the dirt trail in the bushes.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's a tough trail. It's single track, and it's got some tricky spots to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've run it. I don't actually bike stuff like that.
It is fun on the cyclocross
Yeah.
or gravel bike. So I bust up the trail, and Brandy rides up the road, and she hasn't ridden much. And I pop back out on the road to meet her, and we're getting to the steepest part of the climb, and she's like, I'm going to puke. And I'm like, really? Let's stop. And sure enough, she pulls over, and she throws up like 5 times.
Oh my gosh! Was she pushing uphill hard?
Yes, I think she was pushing.
Was she trying to beat you?
She was trying to beat me up the hill, and I was not. I
for her though.
I was, and she's like, just give me a minute.
Oh my gosh!
And so I tried not to take pictures. I was really tempted to take pictures, but I decided not to.
Yeah, that's probably smart.
But so she pushed it, and then afterwards she was fine, and we rode all the way home, and she was happy. So anyway, that's my puking wife story. I probably shouldn't have told that. So anyway, big week for me.
That's
it was a lot of
awesome.
fun.
Big miles.
Yeah,
Big miles.
Big miles.
All right.
So
I'm gonna have to look back on your riding plan from when you started back to where you're at now, and try and basically mirror that.
There's been no plan. It's just I think I'm
just
going to ride today.
You're having so much fun. I'm like, I want to have that freaking fun.
So, Jake, do you want to talk about your week at all?
Sure. Yeah. Well, as I mentioned, I went out and watched Short Track, which was awesome. Took a bunch of pictures and watched everybody do their thing, and it was awesome seeing everybody win and all the podiums that people took down. That made my week. That was just awesome. So,
I think we had 2 teammates win their division, and 4 others make podiums.
if not more, it was
or 5 others make podiums.
Yeah, there was a lot of people that did really well.
Yeah.
It's It's neat to watch everybody progress. So, and then I was hoping to get back into somewhat of like a routine with riding again. And I got a ride in, I think it was like early last week. And my plan was like, all right, I'm just going to start easing into this and just can't find any sleep. I mean, I think I had a string of like 3 or 4 days in a row where it was like 4.5, 4:15, 4:50 hours of sleep, and it just doesn't work. And then it starts to pile up, and then I was supposed to go do my ride, and I think I went and took a nap instead. And just like you feel, just feel awful. And then when I woke up from that nap, I got a phone call, and it was the doctor's office calling and saying, we need to schedule you for surgery, and we would like to get you in next week. I'm like, so long story short, it ended up being a little bit worse than they thought. So
right,
I've got
the soft tissue damage in your shoulder.
Yeah, I got. They're gonna reattach one of my biceps tendons. Didn't realize that was detached. They're gonna fix all the rotator cuff tears, and they're gonna address the labrum issues as well. So I've got that to look forward to this coming Friday. Good times.
This coming Friday. Okay.
This
Well, I
coming
mean,
Friday.
I think a lot of people, that listen to our program, some of them know you well, and they good or bad, they want to know what's going on with you in your life, right? So it's like, hey, the surgery is not, this is not great news.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, people care.
Yeah. So all the getting back on the trainer stuff kind of went out the window just because I'm still trying to find sleep, and I had a bunch of doctor's appointments and things that needed to get taken care of prior to that, and all of a sudden everybody's calling me up and needing stuff fixed or wanting stuff, so I'm trying to help them out as best as I possibly can and letting everybody know that pretty much after Friday I'm going to have to kind of put the kibosh on most of that stuff until further notice. But it's just been kind of a bunch of preparing and getting ready for going for surgery. So, and because of that, we threatened last week that we were going to start doing a stream of this podcast and some video and all that other fun stuff. We're going to have to press pause on that for right now, and we will get that up and running here sooner than later. So sorry that didn't get put up for you. One funny thing though is my wife. We went up to visit some family up in Gig Harbor, Washington, and that got pushed up to this past weekend because we were going to do that later, but surgery kind of changed that. So anyway, she went out and she was running an errand. She came back and then she picked me up to take me somewhere, and it was kind of funny. I got in the car and she was listening to the podcast. I'm like, what?
Wait,
she's
your wife turned on the podcast randomly?
She's been listening to it on her runs and not telling me. She's been secretly listening. So
that is awesome.
And I think she was on podcast number 10 or 11.
Oh my
gosh!
gosh!
Yeah, so she's been listening. So we went to go pick up some dinner and we listened to the podcast, and it was just kind of funny listening to her. Kind of call me out on certain things or question me about certain things, and I go, "Oh, good Lord!" So I kind of really mind myself here now even more. But so that was kind of neat. But,
I think I'm safe for a little while. I don't think my wife's going to pick up on the podcast. She's probably listened to parts of one or two or whatever. But
yeah.
Oof,
so anyway, not too much else going on with me. Just another day in the life.
my kids, after listening to that.
The song,
the intro that Jake, the intro montage that Jake did, they listened to that and were just laughing hysterically and are completely embarrassed by their father. And mission accomplished. That's what I was trying to do.
Yeah. I did figure out how to convert that to an MP3, and I have that. The thing is I can't post it to Facebook. So what I'll do is I'll put up an email address. If somebody wants it, they can email me and I will send them the attachment back, and they can put that into their phone as a ringtone for Mr. Lance Romance, or just their ringer in general, man. Maybe they like it that much.
Gosh, everyone's just gonna be like, "Hey, on the group ride, please call me. If you're gonna be early to the ride, call me. If you're gonna be late to the ride, call me. But if you're close to being on time, just give me a call." And so we're all ready with our ringtones for Lance to call in.
Okay, let's start our first little roundtable here, guys. First question, first little bit of stuff to talk about. How can we give back to the cycling and triathlon community? How can we help build, bolster, and make our communities better? And that's a pretty broad, open topic, and I think that's something that we can all lend some advice to, and I'm kind of curious what you guys have to say.
Yeah.
Justin, why don't you start us off? You've been a little bit quiet back there. I'm curious to see what you have to say, and I definitely have some feedback, too, on some of the stuff that you've been doing, which I absolutely love.
Absolutely.
So I think my general guidance when I read this question really is do something that's not about yourself and that helps others in the community. I think that's really, so, I mean, that's broad, but let's get some specific examples. So like setting and establishing like group rides where people can come learn group dynamics. That's something
huge.
that's hard to do. It's something people need, and it's not always like you may see this other cool shiny ride that pops up that you kind of have to say no to because you've established this ride where you're basically helping other people, learn things about the ride. And so that's something that it ends up not being about you, right? And I think that's kind of the thing. That's how you give back is you have to be selfless.
I think real quick too, just one thing about this topic in general, it was kind of inspired by you, Justin. So I'll get into that a little bit more in a minute, but I'll let you continue your thinking now.
Well, so group rides are probably the low-hanging fruit. Then I'd say, as you get more advanced, if the sport generally requires like races to have people go to, and those don't just happen because they happen, right? That takes planning, time, resources, and so if that's something, maybe it just starts out as, I know there's this event that goes on and I can't race it for whatever reason, but I can go and show up and be a volunteer there. Like, that's step one. And then once you've kind of understood maybe the logistics of what goes on at a race from volunteering, then maybe you start to dabble at putting on your own or something, right? Yeah. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah.
So you just finished putting together a very large race, and you can attest to the amount of time and energy it takes to put that together.
Yeah. Yes.
It's
There's a lot of planning, a lot of thinking about worst case scenarios and how you would react to them, and that's just a lot of preparation. Then there's the whole running around like a chicken with your head cut off on race day, just trying to put out fires. Well, not literal fires, but
yeah. I mean, so this topic is giving back, and definitely want to call you out and just give you a big thanks for going above and beyond. It's a lot of work to put that together, and the racers and all of the cycling community in the Pacific Northwest, we really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Being a promoter is definitely a tough job, and a lot of people have no idea what goes into that. So for you to do what you're doing, that's awesome. I just want you to know that it's appreciated.
Thank you. This was supposed to be you guys, the roundtable topic. It wasn't supposed to be
don't worry.
Justin's head bigger than it already is.
It's a Justin Love Fest. That's what it is.
Oh.
Yeah. Real quick before we jump over here to Lance and Matt, tell us how you use ODZ and Zwift to basically bolster the cycling community and get folks riding their bicycle, even if it is on a trainer indoors.
Yeah. No, that's a great question. So maybe a little backstory, so people maybe haven't heard of what ODZ is. So ODZ it's a club team community that was started through Zwift. You might wonder what ODZ stands for. It actually came from, originally there were two optometrists that started the club, so it was literally the optometrists on Zwift, but so ODZ. But they also liked how it kind of was like they were overdosing or ODing on Zwift. So it was kind of this, they were really into it. They were ODing. There was some pushback to spelling out overdosing on Zwift and doping, and that kind of didn't stick. But anyways, so that's kind of where it started. And so in terms of giving back, I mean, I think what we focus on is just like, I want to accepting everyone, and like, a lot of times when building a community, you'll have situations that come up that maybe they'll be like heads butting in the community, or like, oh, this person or that. And I think we've just taken the approach that people aren't malicious. Maybe you don't understand their intentions, and so a lot of times with like Zwift racing and stuff, we'll go above and beyond to help people understand what all the different Zwift setups are, and like how to maybe get them settled. Because when somebody shows up and they're putting out Chris Froome type numbers, and you maybe are a little like, skeptical. I'm not sure that this guy who rides outside, rides 5 hours a week, we couldn't put out Chris Froome numbers. Instead of just saying, you're cheating, we, go above and beyond and like say, hey, look, let's maybe figure it out. What setup do you have? And I think people will latch on to that because you're giving back, right? You're helping them understand and learn, and that's really what people are in the sport for.
Yeah.
So
Well, you put on a couple of different ODZ rides too. So this is again, giving back to the community. And, I think that's nice too. I think that's another piece of the puzzle that one of the other things you're giving back to is you're leading these group rides. You were doing that kind of what's up or whatever with that one. And it was about teaching people about power meters and what that stuff means and things like that. That was a pretty nice opportunity for people to learn within the sport. And then any of the other rides I consider like learning opportunities, right? Like I rode with you like a couple weeks ago on Zwift, and it was like, hey, Matt, you need to, do this and you need to do that. And I was like, okay, cool. Awesome. Like this is a learning process for me. Right.
Totally.
And everyone was like super welcoming, which was great. So on that subject, can I ask you what a good Zwift setup would be for, a young guy like myself, maybe, just wanting looking towards the winter and what kind of stuff I should use to set up. I am probably picking up a Wahoo Kicker type setup, so I feel like that's a pretty nice trainer. I think that would go well. But what I'm curious about is like if I want to do all
the other stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, so obviously I use Zwift. Zwift is a almost like a gaming platform for cycling. But what else? Like I would love to use some get like a microphone type thing or something set up that way so that some of the discussion and stuff like that we could make that a little bit easier and not quite so crazy. I think I had like kids in the background when I was on Zwift with you, and you have the fan, and I had the Tour de France going on. It was pretty loud and crazy, and I was like, this is a little overwhelming.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to elaborate and answer that question. So let's see. Well, having kids around, you just need a detached shop that you can lock and that's not in the house. The kid that won't come out and get you. That's the first piece of your setup that you need.
Okay.
But that might be expensive.
Yes. Ultimate Zwift setup. That's what we got going. Okay.
Okay. So, or a room, right? What's nice for me about the detached shop is I can be as loud as I want and I don't bother the family early in the morning.
Yeah.
And they really appreciate that.
Yeah.
So you talked about like microphones and connecting with people. So, I think you probably got a glimpse of that's really what makes hours and hours on the trainer bearable is talking to people, not texting. You can do text to the Zwift game and it works, but it's not the same thing as carrying on a conversation. So I actually researched a lot of different microphone setups, and the one I ended up settling on was the Blue Yeti. They actually just got bought by Logitech, so I'm not sure if it's still marketed as the Blue Yeti or if it's been rebranded Logitech yet. But I mean, it's like $100 or $120 or something. Like it's not a cheap microphone, but it's kind of like the gold standard.
Right. So that's a standalone microphone. Right. And then do you put headphones on or you just let it come over the speakers?
So I use a pair of bone conduction headphones.
Okay.
I'm specifically using the Aftershokz Trex Titanium. And I think they've had a couple, they've had a version 1 and a version 2. I think I'm still using the version 1. And so basically that's what closes the loop so that there's not feedback. It's because that's going right into my ears. And having them be the wireless headphones is crucial on the bike because you're not tethered down. You can do whatever crazy sprints you want without having to worry about your headphone cable getting caught in your gears.
Cool. So, and then for listeners that might be interested in doing some of the stuff, the software that you guys use.
Yeah, so the software to communicate with people is called Discord.
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 And it's better for people to like set up an account and get stuff figured out before they, hope to join in the group. So
it's completely free. A lot of gamers use it for talking while they're, playing online raid games and stuff. And what you'll find is several groups have different everyone can make their own server. But if you go to, we have, let me find out what the link is for our website. We actually have like a how to get it set up
Yep.
our webpage.
Yeah, as he's looking for this too, he is actually the one that recommended it for us. We started using Discord for our team rides when we were using Zwift in the early winter time last year when it started raining quite a bit, and we had an awesome experience there. We had 10, 15, 20 people on our team coming up. We're joining Discord and getting on there, and we're all chatting with each other, and it really, honest to God, had made riding 40, 50 miles tolerable, and it was fun having that interaction with folks. So it's a nice thing.
So the link is teamodz.com/Discord and the number 1. I could go off on the rat hole as to why that number 1 is there, but long story short, you don't care. We had Discord.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. Okay. It's teamodz.com/Discord number 1. Okay. But yeah, there's a video there that Chris Haskell has put together on how to use Zwift and Discord together. That kind of gives a brief overview and how to get an account set up and stuff. So yeah, that's huge. And then like when you want to go to the next level after that, when you want to stream yourself to people,
right?
That's a whole another rabbit's hole. And then, but really all you need to add is a pretty cheap Logitech camera,
right?
And you need a pretty decent graphics card on your machine. So the graphics card might be, and you need a fairly decent upload. Well, I mean, if you can sustain 6 megabits per second upload, you can stream 1080p no problem. Up to people use Twitch, they use Mixer.
Yep.
I'm on Mixer. That's where I use a lot.
Okay.
Well, while I was stuck indoors, I haven't been on there since I've been outdoors. So,
yeah. Well, cool. That's good for people that are coming into winters and things like that and starting to think about doing some indoor riding. Probably not Lance, but some people. And I apologize because I totally sidetracked our conversation. We were talking about giving back to cycling, and I do consider.
We're describing how to get more out of your winter training routine.
I consider all the Zwift stuff that you do definitely giving back to cycling for sure.
Yeah, it creates a sense of consistency. It's something people know is there, and they're going to take advantage of it, and it's going to keep them coming back for more.
Yeah.
And those people very well could, especially during the crappy months of the year for us that live here in the Pacific Northwest, could easily just fall away from cycling altogether. Right. Instead, they're out there doing their thing, and then springtime rolls around, and they roll outside, and they're ready to go, and they're excited to ride their bike.
I have a feeling I'm going to spend a lot more time this winter on the trainer.
Well, see how the winter goes. You never know.
I might just go to Arizona or California for a month or two. But
you're Lance.
Yeah.
We'll sneak out of town for the training camp, though.
That's right.
We've got that to look forward to.
Lance, you're going to have to bring your mileage down during training camp.
I have to step back.
Yeah. Everyone else is like, oh, gosh, I got a big week coming up. Lance is like, oh, cut my miles in half here. It's only 100 miles per day.
Recovery week.
I'm signed up to do Cycle Oregon this year, which is a week-long event, and it's 2,000 people or something. So but they only ride between 40 and 80 miles a day, and it's funny that I'm looking at that going, should I double back for part of the day? Should I start really late, or should I start early and do the whole thing twice?
You should start 3 days late and catch them.
And try to catch them. That's probably.
You have so many options.
All right.
Hey, Lance, how can we give back to the cycling and triathlon community?
The one thing that I think is important is to volunteer.
Yeah. That's on my list.
You need to give something of yourself. If I think in your life in general, if you're not giving of yourself in some way, you're missing a big piece of what this life is all about. Life is about helping your fellow man and helping other people, find themselves or find enjoyment in life. And you can't do that just if you are, self-centered or self-focused. And you learn a lot more about yourself as you're giving of your own time and of your own talents to other things. So you need to volunteer.
I agree.
Some of the coolest race experiences I've had have been volunteering at races.
Yeah.
I've driven a couple lead cars for some races. Man, that was fun.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about this before on the podcast. One of the most gratifying fun times I had this past race season was being the lead car for Dirty Circles, which is a local race here it was in Woodland, Washington, and getting to watch two of our teammates make a breakaway stick, and I was their lead car.
And you got to be out there and watch it.
And I was watching them and just screaming and getting all excited. It was awesome, and I was volunteering. I was giving up my time to help out this event, make sure that it was going off all right. So do it.
And race organizers need these volunteers.
Yes.
Like that's the thing is like. We have triathlons, I'm just going to weasel in some triathlon talk. We have these,
How dare you?
I know. We have, Evan's not here.
I'm offended.
I don't have my triathlon buddy to talk. But we have these triathlon races, and they're not every weekend, but almost every weekend during the summer season. And it's like they need volunteers. They need people just pointing bikes in the right direction and just all this stuff. And so they're constantly looking for volunteers. Race directors are, Justin can speak to this too. It's like there's a lot of work to do, and absolutely they're gonna covet those volunteers. So you have the opportunity to do it for sure.
Yeah, even though it's a for-profit thing in most cases.
Yeah.
They still are putting themselves out on a limb. They're sticking their neck out for us to have a race, and we should help them. We should help them be successful.
Absolutely.
Because we want more races.
And if you break down the hours the race director puts into how much money comes out, it's not a great way.
Yeah, that was my next point. Thank you.
You don't see people making
point.
livings off of it. So.
Yeah. Anything else, Lance?
That's what I got.
How about you, Matt?
Yeah, I think I think like Lance said, just the volunteer opportunities are there for sure. And some of the races will do stuff to encourage people to volunteer, like maybe give you like race credits and stuff like that. And so there's tons of opportunities to do it, and just look around your local races and see how you can help, because there's an opportunity for sure. And each of us have our own special talents, so there's other ways to give back. You don't necessarily have to be handing out water. There's tons of different ways to help. So
Yep. Anything else?
you can make YouTube videos and post them.
Yeah.
Check out Matt's channel. He's got
Matt's
some
got
good
some
ones.
good
So
Teach people how to do your sport, basically. I mean, that's the other thing is like, you think people are born with the knowledge on, how to change a flat, they're not.
Where to put their chamois cream.
Where to put their chamois cream. This is important information. And so I would say dispense that information in any way you see fit. So,
that's super high on my list. It's one of my top ones is mentor. You got to mentor juniors. You got to mentor people that are new to the sport, and you got to help them, get caught up and get acclimated and help them love the sport as well. We don't want them to not be successful and run away from the sport because, someone was a jerk to them or something went wrong or they just don't like it because it was uncomfortable or whatnot. We can mentor them and teach them the ropes. It's really not that hard.
Just don't take those last two suggestions from Matt and put them together about teaching chamois cream where it goes in videos. Please just don't go there.
Justin, what are you talking about?
That's already been made.
It's going live. It's going to be live video, live broadcast.
What's funny is I see Matt actually doing that.
It's important information, guys.
Matt's videos are really good. The production value on them is really good.
Until the chamois cream one. Took a turn. Took a dark turn.
You get out the Ken doll and start.
That's a good idea. That's funny.
I've heard a lot of people say really good stuff about chamois cream, but I find that every time I eat it on a ride, I just
yeah.
I feel sick to my stomach.
Maybe you need to check out the video. Yeah. Maybe you're doing something wrong. I don't know.
Another thing, too, that we can do for giving back, and it's not even necessarily giving, but it's just trying new things, because eventually if you try new things, you're going to get into new things, and you're going to give back to that particular component of the community. So, if you're just super centric on just road riding and you're not giving back to, mountain biking or cross or gravel grinding or triathlon or whatever it is, you're not helping the community as a whole. So just try something new, because you never know. You might fall in love with it, and things will happen. It's that little butterfly effect. You do this and that happens. It's a good thing. Yeah.
I love riding my road bike, but I am in love with riding my gravel bike.
Yeah.
You get out on a 40-mile loop and there's no cars and you're in the woods and you're on this bike that just floats over the gravel and oh my goodness.
And Lance, 2 years ago, what would you have said about gravel grinding and gravel riding?
It beat you up.
Yeah.
It was just not as much fun.
And you weren't doing it either, though.
No.
So it's like you went out, you tried something new, you fell in love with it, and now you're like a big, advocate for the gravel grinding community.
Yeah, so trying new stuff is
it's good.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, and
Matt, cyclocross.
Well, no, I've definitely given it a fair try. And I will definitely do some cyclocross practices for sure because I like those.
Yeah. Another one, and this is an easy one, and a lot of us do it. We have this great platform called Strava, and I know some people hate it and they're going to knock it and all that other stuff. And if you want to be, captain elitist, then so be it. But that's a great way to give back to the community by supporting people, by giving them, appreciation and giving them acknowledgement for the hard work that they're putting in. And that's a good thing. But we can also leverage that platform to use their groups and to create social platforms for cyclists to come together and talk about riding and create events and create senses of consistency so people can come out and get more involved with riding. I think that platform is fantastic, and I've said it a million times, and I'll say it again. Use it. Yeah. There's so much to be gained.
Well, in Facebook too, right? Like especially if you're talking about organizing events or rides or things like that. I mean, some of these tools are evil, Facebook potentially, but at the same time, like they, organizing events, and I think that those are fantastic opportunities.
Going back to Facebook, and I kind of joke about this with my wife. I think she's like, "You're on Facebook again." I'm like, "Not really. I just go in there to go into our team page. That's about it. I will see like maybe the first like 2 or 3 things that somebody posts, and then I'm straight into the team stuff where it's just." This little ecosystem, this little sphere of just cycling friends, teammates, and
it's positive, right? Like, I think that's the thing is like you could go into some groups that are not positive for sure, and the trolls online are vicious, which is just not a positive place to be. But certain groups you can find that are the right place to be. So
we've created an atmosphere where people know what they can and can't talk about, and it's just something that's super positive. So
on the team page, I posted a little video of the short track relay race.
Yeah.
And I posted a video of the silly trophy that we won as well. So you can find those on Facebook.
Yeah, we'll share this on the Dal Podcast Facebook page.
That'd be good. And speaking of Strava, without any prompting from me, my wife signed up and joined it.
Wow. Hey,
that's cool.
after Saturday's ride. So
is she just trying to keep tabs on you?
I probably.
That's why she
wants to see all the.
She's getting on there.
I have a penchant for making silly ride titles.
Yeah, that's true.
And so she's probably trying to see if I'm saying bad things about her.
Can we see on her Strava, like on her ride, like where she stopped and puked?
Probably would be funny.
I'll have to follow her.
Yeah, I'm gonna find her.
Yeah. My last thing, and I don't know if this is necessarily about giving back, but it's definitely helping our community help others. But discouraging distracted driving. That's going to be a big thing that I'm going to be beating the drum of. And even if I know you and love you and I see you doing it, you're going to get an earful from me. And I might even smack you upside the head too. So we can all talk to our friends and our family and our loved ones, and we can let them know, hey, just put that phone down. It can wait a minute. It doesn't have to be something that you have to respond to right now. You don't need to know what's going on, in Facebook land. You don't need to, do whatever you have to do. If you get directions to something, pull over for a minute and plug it in, and get back on the road and drive, because we just don't need to be putting people in harm's way.
What was that? I wasn't paying attention. I was on my phone. I was on Facebook. I was tweeting my peeps. Tweet some people. It was important though, Jake, but go ahead.
And moving on. Let's get on to our next topic, boys. Let's start up with the hot seat. It's the hot seat again this week.
No.
Who would like to go first? Oh, and just real quick, nobody has shared any of their questions. We're all just going to pass them around one at a time and throw it out there, and we'll have a little quick topic discussion.
I've got one.
Yeah.
Go.
Okay, so last time I was on, we talked about the Illuminati rules.
Oh, yeah.
And if you've been paying attention, you may have seen a recent release of the Philluminati.
I did see that.
Phil Guyman's take on the rules.
Love it.
In which he basically says they're dumb. That's the too long didn't read version. But one of the ones he talks about is the the rule around, if you get the chainring grease on your calf, whatever happens to everyone. So here's the hot seat question. In the past week, how many times have you had the Cat 6 tattoo on your right calf?
So I probably haven't had it that much. One, because I did a race like last weekend and I cleaned the bike pretty thoroughly before that. And then the other part of the puzzle of that was I haven't been riding enough to get the good. It's
so it would have been there if you had to clean your bike. So you probably had grease; it just wasn't visible.
Yeah. Well, once I went through that bike. I mean, I have another bike that needs cleaning too. So I'm I probably have one on me right now, and I just haven't paid attention. But the magic of radio is
Nobody knows.
no one knows.
Scout's honor.
Lance.
I actually marked my forearm somehow this last week. I got a grease stain on my forearm. I picked up my bike a couple of times to take some silly pictures, and I think I must have.
Was that one of the rules? Bike pictures with your bike over your head?
Well, remember, I walked through a lava field in my cycling shoes. If you saw,
gosh.
With his bike.
with my bike over my shoulder, strictly for the picture. So, and I somehow greased my arm. Okay. So that was, yes, I have done it. Yeah,
yes.
It just wasn't on my calf.
Justin, how about you?
Well, only one, but I've only ridden twice in the last 2 weeks.
Okay.
So that's not a very good,
Okay, one out of
good run
two.
ratio.
1 out of 2 ain't bad.
Hold on a second. I'm going to run over here and find a bike and put one on my calf so I can pretend that I ride bikes still.
On average, we'll rephrase the question for Jake. On average, in a typical week when you are riding.
Oh, it probably happens at least once. And like I mentioned last time we talked about this, I look down and I'll see that. Oh, crap. I'll spit on my glove real quick when the hand goes down and rubbing it in, trying to get it to go away and to get this black like haze on your leg. So it happens. It happens to the best of us.
So Phil hit the nail on the head then.
Yeah.
Is what we would, okay.
Yeah, I actually really liked his little article because, he starts up with being like, this is dumb. And then he kind of rolls through a whole bunch of little things or whatever. And it's a lot of the same stuff that we talk about all the time where it's like, be nice to, new people and teach them,
Wave to people.
Wave to people.
Yeah.
He finishes with like, other cyclists are not the enemy. The cars are the enemy. And I was like,
right.
I think he's a good writer and I think he's funny. Like he's witty. He has very witty writing and I really do enjoy his stuff. So maybe we can try to link to that particular article if we can find it.
Writing it down right now.
Nice. Yep.
All right.
Hot
Good one.
seat.
Matt, hot seat.
Hot seat question. Okay, so this is, of course, self-motivating, like all my hot seat questions. But would you guys consider taking on a coach for your personal cycling, if you had, like, say, an Ironman coming up a year from now?
I'll
Lance.
start that off.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, no, let's start with Lance because Lance currently just goes out bikes for fun. It's awesome. He has a blast. But would you potentially consider having a coach?
Yes, I would. Yeah, I like the fact that you have somebody to answer to, that there's accountability. So and somebody that can help you periodize your workowts or set them up and know what you should and shouldn't be doing. So yes, every time that I've done a really big event like an Ironman, I've hired coaches or followed a coaching plan.
Right.
Yeah.
Would you do something like that for like cyclocross? Like if it was like, okay, this year's going to be awesome, it's going to be fun, but like the following year I want to do really well at cyclocross, would you consider something like that?
I don't know if I want to take it that seriously.
Yeah.
I think I want to just
keep doing what you're doing.
go have fun.
Right.
So I don't know.
That's
so
fair.
probably not.
That's fair. If you take it too seriously, sometimes you lose you lose your luster for it. So.
Yeah.
I think so.
Or you put too much pressure on the season and then all of a sudden
not. But I mean, you're obviously doing extremely well. You're putting in a lot of miles because they're fun, and so there's real value there. But I think that's good because it's like two sides of the coin where it's like, yes, I would, consider it for a particular race like an Ironman, but not for cyclocross.
Right.
So that's the hot seat question, right? Like I want it to be not just a yes or no necessarily, but like, why would you? Jake, you do a lot of coaching. And I guess I coach too, but I coach like high school cross country, which is different. Would you ever take on, so for you, slightly different, would you ever take on a different coach, like someone else coaching you?
Yes.
Yes.
And I plan on doing that for this coming up season just to get myself back in. Yeah. I need to have basically someone to come in and look at it from an objective stance. I don't want to get into a situation where I, am doing something because I think that's what's right for me. Kind of having like this blind idea of where I think I am and what reality is. I want to be held accountable. I want somebody to kind of push me a little bit, and I just want to take a different approach and kind of take my hands off that wheel and turn it over to somebody else and see what happens.
Is it going to be hard for you because of your background in coaching and
I don't think so. No. I'm usually pretty receptive to that. So
nice.
And plus, I feel like I'm going to be coming back at a Cat 5 stance, so I kind of need some help anyway.
It's not going to be. It's going to come around quick.
Yeah.
Yes,
so, Justin, I don't know your story. Do you? Do you have a coach?
I self-coach.
Okay.
So that's actually, so I started learning a lot of the power-based training concepts myself. That's what led into teaching that What's Up with Power series. And part of that was also to convince other coaches who wanted to get more exposure to come on and I'd have these conversations with them. We were teaching people, and like I was learning as well. So I haven't ever hired a coach just because, well, I couldn't convince the budget committee to get that kind of like it gets serious.
Approval
like,
denied.
We're talking, if you want like one-on-one real, like a guy who's like watching your every move, giving you all sorts of feedback, like we know that takes time. Time equals money.
Yeah.
Like it's not cheap. So I specifically said, I think I can do self-coaching, and I've gone that way.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of trial and error that goes along with that. I would say, if something fell out of the sky and like the monetary part wasn't a question, I'd probably give it a whack, just because I feel like I'd learn even more from like going through what somebody else thinks I should do. Just for like maybe one training section, I would like learn from that, right? It's a new avenue to explore somebody else's perspective, and I would just go on how they look at it, and that would then enhance like my ability to coach myself later on.
Yeah,
so
that's definitely things I've been thinking about too. So, it's just having that different perspective. So, be interesting. Yeah.
And you're going to learn something too. Everybody's going to have a different experience, and if you've got somebody that's going to teach you a new trick,
right?
It's kind of the old adage. I mean, you'll die the day you stop learning. So I always want to try and learn something new, have different perspective, and have somebody that can kind of give me some insight that might be different from what I've done in the past.
Yeah, it all takes time though, right? I mean, self-coaching doesn't happen in 0 time.
Yeah,
and if you want to be good at it, like you got to like be really objective and talk to a lot of people and be willing to admit that you don't know what you're doing, and that you got to listen to other people.
Self-coaching too isn't stuff that you're just pulling out of the air magically, like you just said. You've got to do a lot of research, and you are kind of coaching yourself as a proxy through other people or from other people. You're using other people's ideas and the sciences behind what we're trying to accomplish, and applying that to yourself. And you're just the person that's kind of mandating what you do and holding yourself accountable.
Totally.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, that's my question.
All right. And would that be Lance's turn?
It's my turn.
Mr. Lance.
It's my turn.
Okay, my question comes straight from my wife.
Okay.
Why do you guys continue to encourage the Lance romance? Because it's hilarious, or is it growing old?
I think it's absolutely hilarious.
Okay, we'll keep it. Okay, no, the real question.
Oh.
Sorry.
Lance romance. Lance.
Oh no.
Romance. International man of mystery.
Because
Lance romance. Lance no
because
pants. Lance romance. Last chance. Lance romance. Lance romance in the house. Super genius. Lance Hepler. Lance romance. Lance romance. Puffy pants. Lance.
So good.
Lance romance.
Lance romance. Yes. In the house.
Okay.
That's why.
That's why. Because it's too funny.
And it's only going to get better.
It's only going to get better. Her real question is, and this, I hadn't even thought about this, so this was a really good question. When do you shift your gears when you are headed into a hill? Do you
They say to shift before, and I always don't. Like, I wait until I need the gears, basically, and then shift. I mean,
the second you start to feel your cadence change.
As soon as your cadence starts to slow down, that's when you should.
It's just that it's like an instant. You've got to feel it, and you're gonna your cadence gonna come down just a little bit, and then it's gonna jump up quite a bit, and then you'll start to kind of just keep doing that until you find that happy spot.
See, for
the
me,
other thing about that is I feel like if you go too early, you lose a lot of momentum. You need to keep, like, if you're looking to hit that hill fast, you want to keep as much momentum from what you're carrying into it. So if you shift down and your speed drops before you hit the hill just from the gear change, you've just lost a lot of time on the climb.
Not to mention the fact if somebody's behind you, I mean, you're going to surge backwards, so you don't want to do that.
I think that recommendation of like you should shift early before is probably coming from that fear of dropping a chain or something like that. Like
if you've got too much tension on your chain and you're trying to downshift, you can drop your chain, or it makes a crazy, stupid, scary sound.
Yeah.
I mean, I think these are the questions that kind of came from her.
But in defense of that question, and somebody saying that you don't want to shift too early, I think it's better for somebody that's a novice or a rookie to shift a little too soon as opposed to shifting too late and then finessing it or fine-tuning that over the course of time so that they can find that sweet spot of like they're not losing momentum, they're not falling backward, their cadence isn't changing too much, and they're going to continually go up the hill a little bit faster. I've seen too many people that'll get into that situation where it's like, oh crap, I waited too long to change, and then they lose much more momentum than they would had they had shifted just a little bit too soon.
Agree with that. Yep.
Yeah,
so that's just my 2 cents.
Okay.
Good question.
Thanks, Brandy.
Yeah, she has the best questions.
I know.
All right, and I guess that leaves yours truly. Or wait, did I ask you that? Yeah.
No, you're up.
Sorry,
Jake.
I haven't eaten yet today, guys. I'm a little hungry right now. The intermittent fasting thing, trying to keep weight off, is a good thing. But sometimes when you kind of go like an hour and a half past your time, it starts to play tricks on your mind. So, my question is, name a time, or maybe let's just say, what is some bad etiquette that you have or that you're guilty of when you're out riding, running, or swimming?
Bad etiquette.
Yep. Or even things that you shouldn't be doing. Like,
I have headphones in when I ride by myself.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I was gonna tell people
you were
your
Guilty.
bad etiquette.
Matt was going to point out my bad etiquette.
Yeah. I'm happy to do that all day long, Lance.
Yeah.
I was thinking the same thing, but when I go running, I put headphones on, which is the same thing with biking. I mean, like you're still blocking out the traffic and stuff like that, and that's dangerous. And then the other thing is, if you're on the trails and people want to pass you and you're blasting your headphones, it's pretty annoying because
like the cyclist behind you on your left.
Yeah. Hey,
like 14 times, and finally you come around and you jump out of your skin because we came around you.
Yep. So that's probably I'll just play the same card, Lance, so that I'm not quite.
We only have
pointing
to
you out
admit
so
to
bad.
one.
Yeah,
You can admit to as many as you want. How about you, Justin?
Well, definitely that one that Lance said, but if we all agree with the same one Lance, and that's just kind of lame. So I'd say I'm guilty of not adhering to run, walk, bike, trail speed limits of 15 miles an hour.
Yep.
Oh, yep.
Yeah.
And we'll leave it at that.
Oh, Mr. Goody Two Shoes doesn't want to put it out there.
Fair. Seems fair.
Anything else, you guys? You got to do something worse than that. I
roll through stop signs more than I should.
That's probably one that we've addressed that before.
Yeah,
I do. I've done that. Been guilty of that. And then I should probably clean my bike chain more than I currently do. I made
say it's
like
bad etiquette unless it's super loud.
No, I mean that's
okay. Here's one that's that hurts to say, but I'm definitely bad at regrouping on group rides. Or I think how I handle it. I'm not usually the person in the back, so I typically will like loop back, right? Maybe
circle back,
go down the hill and then come back up the top, get a little bit extra riding in, or probably annoying if I go back to the back person right alongside them back up. I don't know if they like that or not, but that's hard. I mean, you want to keep the group together as much as possible, and it's got something. It's a mindset you got to take into it that it's not about the average speed at the end.
Yeah.
When I'm on a group ride and I get dropped on a climb and the fast climbers circle back around to catch back up, that's when I attack. As soon as they get back on, I blast. I'm like, okay, I see what you're doing now.
Game on.
I'm gone. Let's go.
that's funny.
Mine, you guys know my issue. Usually 20, 30 minutes into a ride, we have to stop, right?
Oh,
That's right. Jake's tiny black.
And then if I've had too much coffee or too much water or whatever fluids, I know every single little secret spot where you can stop and relieve yourself, a little natural break. But there's times where you're like in places where you just shouldn't do that, but you have no other choice and there's nowhere else to go. Urinating in public is one of those things that you're not supposed to do. But as a cyclist, I mean, is that bad etiquette?
Yes.
For society to stop and like pee behind a tree or something like that?
It's bad etiquette.
If a cyclist urinates in the woods and nobody saw it, did it ever happen?
Exactly. There's been some funny places that it's happened though, and I am always super discreet about it, and I always will have my head on a swivel, but it happens. And what else are you supposed to do?
Yeah.
But it's bad etiquette. You're not supposed to do that. So
that's
okay.
I have walked up people's driveways and filled water bottles off their hoses on the side of their houses too before.
That's just smart. That's not bad.
That's trespassing.
Yeah. Any other bad etiquette stuff, guys?
Nothing I want to admit.
Okay. Well, thought that'd be fun. Okay, I think we've all touched on our little hot seat. Thank you, guys. That was good. So let's jump into one last thing. Wrap this thing up. Lance, wrap it up for us.
Big things happening this week. All my kids are home this week.
Really?
Yes.
That's awesome.
So it's going to be, it will be a much lower cycling volume week because I'm going to spend some time with my kids.
Rest week,
You're 400 miles.
I had 400 miles last week. This week it will be 40.
40.
He's going to be towing the whole family around on a bike ride.
My son is home from his summer job for the week, and my daughter, who is a river guide in southern Utah, she's home for the week because a friend is getting married. And so... Cool. And this is the last week my youngest daughter's home before we take her to college, and so
it's like the pomp and circumstance before the empty nest.
Yeah, this is the final week that all of us will be together, and then everybody's off.
How are you guys handling that, Lance?
Honestly, my wife and I are stoked. It's probably not what you expected.
Sorry, Hepler kids.
Sorry, Hepler kids.
They don't listen. Don't worry.
Well, by the third kid, you're
right.
The emotion of it lessens a little bit. You know, the first one driving off to school was really hard to watch.
Yeah.
But now they're kind of flying the coop, and we're ready for the last one to go.
Kicking poor Kelty in the butt, getting out the front door. Huh?
Darby's the last
I'm sorry.
one. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, so we're excited to be empty nesters, but of course it's bittersweet, you know. Yeah. So plus I got to pay tuition for 3 kids. Yep. So that kind of blows. So yeah. Anyway.
Justin, one last thing.
So I can't help but not divulge this joke that just is a cue in from what Lance said. So when your first kid swallows a dime, you're super paranoid about it, and the hospital, and oh my goodness, what's happening? By the time the third kid comes around, you're like, that's coming out of your allowance.
That's right. Yeah, so, you just get desensitized.
Right. But no, that's pretty much all I got. Hopefully by the time this podcast comes out, I'll know where home is going to be, and I have a pretty good idea what city it's going to be in, and
good luck with
where my daily commute will be, and a lot of big questions to be answered.
It's exciting. It's exciting for your family. So good luck with all of that.
That's got to be pretty hard for you too, because how long have you been in Spokane?
Well, I was born here.
Oh, wow.
And I was raised here. I spent 2 years away from my mission for the church in Brazil. And then I was away 2 years for grad school in Pittsburgh. But other than that, we've been here. So.
You got some super deep roots, and I'm sure the cycling community is going to be just completely bummed to lose you.
Yeah, it's hard. But unfortunately, cycling clubs don't pay the bills like a day job does.
Yeah.
Amen to that. But you can always go back and visit, and they can always come see you.
Totally.
Good. Matt, one last thing.
Well, Jake was droning on about something or nothing. I don't know. I signed up for the Ironman Canada.
You got in.
Yeah, I signed up for that during the
podcast.
Tell everybody how much that cost you.
Firstborns.
Yeah. They're the podcast was $600, and then I had this pass to get it for $600 or whatever, and it's I waited around, and it's basically an extra it's not quite $100 extra, but almost $100 extra because I waited around until the podcast for you guys.
Oops.
The Ironmans are spendy.
Oh my gosh, it's ridiculous.
But now you have a carrot out there for next year.
Now it's time to train.
It might push your training a little bit more.
When we press stop on this podcast, it's go get on the bike.
It's time to ride.
Go ride. And Evan Price was talking about doing it, so we can all send him a comment or encourage him to join me in misery if he wants to try on his first full Ironman distance race. So
And you
then
say
there's
Ironman Canada?
the Ironman Canada.
Whistler?
Yeah. Whistler. Yep.
It's typically like the end of July, right?
That's exactly right.
Yeah, they just had that.
Yeah. So they do
was like-
the race and they open it up for the next week.
Yeah.
The next week they open it up the registration stuff. So yep.
It was the day after the race I put on. That's how I remembered.
Oh yeah. So anyway, we'll see. We'll get maybe get anyone that wants to join in the misery. Absolutely sign up and let us know, and we'll do some training.
All right, my one last thing. I said earlier, try something new. Cyclocross is coming up, folks. Try it. If you're here local in the Camas, Vancouver, Portland area, we have our Wednesday night cyclocross practices. I think, Lance, have you gone to those yet?
I went to the first one.
How'd it go?
It was always a good time. You learn some skills. We practice some barriers. We practice some tight turns. You do a little bit of lactate threshold work.
Yeah.
And they're good.
I didn't even realize you guys had started those practices. Wednesday nights?
Wednesday nights.
Yep,
That's cool.
I think this coming Wednesday, when this podcast comes out, will be the third one of
Third one.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they will run those all the way up until the start of the GP, the Grand Prix Series.
which is in the beginning of September.
Yeah, just after Labor
Okay.
Day. So David Douglas will be the first race. So we've got about 3 or 4 of them still to go. So if you are in the area and you're looking for something fun to do, come on out. They're free. They're fun. And
Yeah, that's a great way to learn,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that is
No
definitely
pressure.
And even if you don't want to race, just come out and try it. You never know. You might fall in love with a different bike that will take you on some different adventures.
Yeah.
Can't complain about that, right?
Yeah.
That's a good point.
That is about it for me, and I think that's a wrap for the podcast today.
All right.
Yeah, we didn't go too long, so I'll try and shut up here. I won't ramble on, Matt. Justin, thank you so much for joining us again.
Yeah, happy to come out. And if you guys, if anybody's interested to know more about the ODZ Club, check out teamodz.com, or you can reach me directly at justin@teamodz.com via email. So.
Yeah, ODZ is doing some good stuff. We like them and appreciate them.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Matt, thank you for coming.
My
Congratulations on your Ironman Canada entry.
Sign up. Yeah, I mean, I should be congratulated and awarded. Just, when you hit that button, you do a lot of work. It's a lot of finger work, pressing the button to get that stuff.
Well, no, it's going to be fun to keep tabs
Train.
on you over the next year and
Sure.
watch you kind of transform yourself back into this Ironman beast again.
It's gonna hurt.
You get a goal time?
No, finished. I mean, I think it's gonna be hard because of the hilly course. So
Captain Modesty over here.
yeah, no, I mean, I'll adjust the goals according to training once I get rolling, and I'll be happy to share whatever people want to know. I'm an open book. So
9:10.
yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
yeah, finish at 9:10 at night. Yeah.
Oh, Lance, thank you for joining us again, and congratulations on this past week and that trophy and
Thank you.
all
Yeah.
the great things
And I
that
will
you
continue to
accomplished.
wear my medal, which is here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And next time we talk, hopefully I'll be able to make this next week. We'll make it happen, I'm sure. I'll have a new shoulder, so fun.
A brand new, shiny new shoulder.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm not going to win any arm wrestling contest, but it's all good. All right, everybody, thank you for listening, and we will see you next time. Bye for now.